Hello, Typing Piper here. Today is Tuesday. Do we still have weekdays with this whole coronavirus thing? So, it is May 5th. May 5th. All the Star Wars stuff was on Instagram yesterday, so of course that's May 4th. Because it's a stupid pun, and Star Wars just isn't that great anymore. Okay, so we've got the garden going. I'm going to be doing some projects today, doing some target shooting with a new Remington air rifle that I purchased, and Zoe is terrorizing the chickens. So, garden update. We've got kale, some beets coming in here, cilantro, radishes, Swiss chard. A lot of these I had planted lettuce in and they did not come up. So these big pots are going to end up being for tomatoes. Did not come up, although I'm going to say yet. I think this is okra. Swiss chard, radishes. Mystery did not pop up. So that's going to be used for something else. More future tomatoes. Along with this one. That is lettuce, fresh pack that I bought. That's coming up. Radishes, Swiss chard, onions. I forget what the heck I planted in here, and I'm guessing nothing came up because weeds. I recognize all of these as things that I don't want in here, so I'm thinking those seeds were bad. Considering how many tomato plants I have inside, I might just use this for tomatoes. Apparently there's some bones over here. I'm wondering what those are from. Huh. Easter lilies, I'm just gonna keep them. They'll attract some bugs. Another no-go potted weeds over here. I'm thinking spinach. I think that's spinach. Mystery plant. Swiss chard. Radishes, other stuff. Plenty of green onions. Now, this one, I do believe carrots, and not much of anything else came up in this one either. So, thinking I'm just, it's a good thing I bought fresh seeds for my seed bank, because I'm thinking some of them just went bad over time. Okay, so the girls are getting big. Not just the ones in here, but the one out here as well. And in here, I'm going to put a shelf along this wall here. And then I'm going to put some shelves on this back wall. One here, and then finish with one right up here so that they can move up and down, have some things to do, and hopefully it'll give them a little more space to do their thing, their chicken thing. I can't believe how big they're getting in such a short period of time. Overall, they're doing really good. I'm trying to get them to start using the bigger water and feeder and get these two out of here. Just save those for, the coming years when we get more chicks in the future. And, yeah, that's my project. I want to have a shelf right below that screen. And yeah, I think even with the expansion, it's a little crowded for 6 birds. Hopefully that will help. I also saw a design for a perch that you can make for them, and I want to do that as well. I don't know if I'll get to that today, but we'll see. When I was out for a walk yesterday with the little one, I came across this pallet. This is what I'm going to use for those shelves in the coop. And I should be able to get all the parts I need from this. Chickens don't weigh that much, especially if they're not given steroids and weird funky food that make them huge. So I'm not too worried about how much weight they have to hold. And that's what I'm going to be working with. Okay. So we got the pallet broken down. I'm going to actually use these to nail into the wall where I might have long enough screws. Screw these into the wall and then put the shelf on top. But I have to get all these nails out. And I see these all the time at antique shops, estate sales. It's a nail remover. And I have to say, these things are awesome. But you don't see them that often because most people don't reuse stuff, you know? They'll just go out and they'll get new lumber, and they won't bother with doing something like this. As for the rest of this, that's going to be kindling for later. I'll show you what I'm doing later tonight. Most pallets are made out of pine, and you don't normally want to use pine in a fireplace or a wood-burning stove, because the pitch will start a chimney fire. But I'm not using it for that. See, here's the cool thing. See, the head was gone. I was still able to get that out of there. So whenever you see these, I'd grab them. I only have the one. Actually got this from my father-in-law when he passed away. And it's probably one of the most handy inheritances I've ever had. Nordic Forge. Not sure if that company even exists anymore, but yeah, just really sturdy. I don't make them like that anymore. And makes light work of getting this stuff out. It's a lot better than trying to pry it out with a hammer. Yeah, I'd have to say definitely get one of these if you ever come across them. Oh, hi, Pumpkin. E-I-N-D-O. And Zoe, what's her name? Oh. That'll do. Maybe. That will. Uh-oh, there we go. There we go. Last one. All right, that little project, shelf right here, here, and let's see here, and here, right? Yep. So, should give them a little more space, and I just ran out of deck screws, so any more projects like this, and I'm gonna have to well, I got plenty of other regular screws. I don't need deck screws, per se. It's just out in the elements and easier to go through that wood, especially that old pine like that. It seems to be brittle, but it's also like really hard at the same time, just because of how dry it is. So anyways, on to new things. Okay, so part of quarantine is this pellet gun that I got. It's the Remington 1100 pump, and firepower. It shoots BBs, the regular Red Ryder BBs that you can get. Also shoots these, and the 1.77 or the .177 caliber. These are for hunting and getting pest control. So I want to see what this thing can do on that target down there without the little girl down there. Okay, so little girl behind me, target's right there. Safety off. I do believe that is really low. Okay, let's take a look at the box here. So that second round, the 5 pumps, was more on target. That was the first shot. That was 1 pump, and it dropped quite a bit. Of course, I was aiming for the center, so 1 pump doesn't really carry that far, or maybe 30, 40 feet back. As for the inside, that five pumps went through 2 pieces of cardboard. Tried to go through the back. But overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Was just the BBs, and I want to see how the shots do. Okay, round 2. That right there is the that was the lead shot going through. These are the last 2 BBs. 5 pumps. You can do up to 12 pumps, and that's like 700 feet per second. I think this is 500 something feet per second. And all 3 of those went through the second, and they all went through the last. And I wasn't anticipating that, so I put a target on the back. But that's where, no, this is where that lead shot went through. And it went through the box, and it dinged the barn over here. So I did find one of the babies, but way too many cedar chips to try to find that lead shot if I wanted to. Yeah, well, I was curious if that was going to be good for hunting, or at least pest control. And looks like it'll do the job, definitely. And pretty happy with it. I did see some other models that came with scopes, and you know, living where I live, it's like really no point in having that. I mean, you can just use iron sights, and a little more practice with it, and feel confident taking care of the chickens, making sure that nothing tries to get in there. But haven't seen them on the shelves yet, but eventually they'll figure it out. So on to our next project. What you doing, Zoe? Those are thorns. You're in the middle of a raspberry patch. So we've got some firewood. Although there seems to be a lot of firewood around here. This is one of those protected areas that the city just started because there's water here. It's considered like a protected wetland now. Nobody really keeps track of this. Alright, Zoe got to where she wanted to be. So, as you can see, this also ends up being like a dumping ground for a lot of junk. Some people have tried to claim their portion of the water. I don't know why, but they have. And yeah, Zoe just wants to throw rocks in. So this is right across the street, and we've got firewood. We're ready to go, but now she's having too much fun. All right, this is the Guide Gear stove. This is Zoe. Say hi, Zoe.
No.
This is $120 on Amazon. This is $1 million in your local NICU.
Okay. This is Zoe. This is Zoe.
Alright, everything for the stove fits right inside, which makes it very portable. It's a camping stove,
It's a camping stove.
or what she said. And this thing, it works really well. There's a lot of complaints on Amazon, or not Amazon, on YouTube about how well it burns, but I think people are not drying their wood completely. I have any issues with it. Zoe, have you gone full Ewok? Alright, get the fire started. We'll know when it's hot when this starts simmering. Dandelion flowers for dandelion wine, which I will be making 2 days from now. Thank you, Mr. Postman, for the junk mail. I do have to say, this is the oddest poker that could have come with this thing. Personally, I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense to me. It's way too much air if you're leave it open, but want it nice and hot for throwing sticks in. See how much later. Earlier. It's getting there. Bacon. Bacon grass. Okay. These are almost done. Just make sure they get to a nice simmer. I'll do a different video on dandelion wine. But you want the fully open flowers. As you can see, they shrivel up when they start to cook in here. You also want to make sure you can get as much of the stem off as possible. This thing, you know, it's definitely has some flames going inside. As you can see, it's heats up fast. There's about a gallon of water in here. And that's heating up pretty quick. Once it starts to simmer a little bit and boil, I'll take these off. Then they have to sit covered for 2 days. Strain the flowers, use the water and the rest of the process, and we'll get to that later. But this is almost done. Once it's done, the skillet will go in here and we'll cook up some bacon. Alright, the Guide Gear wood burning camp stove. It cooks bacon, so it's good in my book. Alright, bacon's almost done. Then we can take that inside, chop it up, put it in the quiche, get on cooking. Good. It's dark out. There we go. let's go check the target. Okay, let's look at your target and see what's going on. This grouping here, that's all the Red Ryder. It's decent. At least it's all in the black. And these down here, these three, that is from the air rifle. And those all went through. Except I'm guessing that last time I pumped it only twice. That's that one. Didn't make it all the way through. But, yeah, okay, so clearly I'm aiming a little low on the air rifle. But as for the Red Ryder, seems fairly accurate. Does not have penetration power because looks like all the shots are still in here. So, not bad for a toy that I did not get until I was 30 years old. Oh well, I definitely was not that kid from A Christmas Story. Well, that's a normal day for me, I guess, during this whole thing. And that light right here is out, which means I've got to get a ladder and change it, just like at work. Hope everyone's doing good. This is Typing Piper, signing out. Keep on typing.